Yamuna Tiravanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Om Vishnuvada Paramahansa Parivajikacharishthira Sata Shri Srimad Chirandi Goswami Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnuvada Paramahansa Parivajikacharishthira Sata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai 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 Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai 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 Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai 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 Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So we're reading from the third chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's up there. Good. Here we go. Excuse me, third canto. Sorry. Third canto, and it's chapter 4. And it's text 24? 21. I read it, but I didn't remember the text. Okay. Soham ta darshanahada Viyogarti yuta prabho Gamishye dayitam tasya Badaryashram mandalam Soham ta darshanahlada Viyogarti yuta prabho Gamishye dayitam tasya Badaryashram mandalam Soham ta darshanahlada Viyogarti yuta prabho Gamishye dayitam tasya Badaryashram mandalam Soham ta darshanahlada Viyogarti yuta prabho Gamishye dayitam tasya Badaryashram mandalam Soham ta darshanahlada Viyogarti yuta prabho Gamishye dayitam tasya Badaryashram mandalam. Ladies? Soham ta darshanahlada Viyogarti yuta prabho Gamishye dayitam tasya Badaryashram mandalam. Saham, thus myself, tat, his, darshana, audience, ahlado, pleasure, viyoga, without that, artiyutaha, afflicted by distress, Prabhu, my dear sir, Gamishye shall go, Dayitam, so instructed, Tasya, his Badaryashrama, Badarikashram in the Himalayas, Mandalam, association. Purport, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. My dear Vidura, now I am mad for want of the pleasure of seeing him. And just to mitigate this, I am now proceeding to Badarik Ashrama in the Himalayas for association as I have been instructed by him. Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord, of the standard of Uddhava, constantly associates with the Lord in the double perception of simultaneous separation and meeting. The pure devotee is not for a moment unengaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. Execution of the Lord's service is the main occupation of the pure devotee. Uddhava's separation from the Lord was unbearable, and therefore he started to Badarik Ashram in obedience to the Lord's order, because the order of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical. As long as one is engaged in the execution of the order of the Lord, there is no factual separation from him. Om Agyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshumilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangalangayate Girim Tad Kripa Tamham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What promise we have in this verse and in this purport, revelations, that we have heard, at least I know we've heard these topics so often. The Lord is identical with his instructions. The Lord is identical with his name. The Lord is identical with his fame. That's an interesting one. The name, fame. The fame of Krishna is Krishna. And yet, we're not, at least I speak for myself, I'm not feeling Krishna's presence so fully. Krishna's the reservoir of pleasure. He's all attractive. He's the most beautiful. And yet when I walk the streets of New York, I'm not seeing him. I'm not seeing Krishna. When I move about, I'm always forgetting. And even when I'm engaged in service, I'm not experiencing that that fullness of Krishna's presence as Uddhava is experiencing. Uddhava is our hero, our aspiration, Uddhava. Uddhava has a very special relationship with Krishna. He's not there in Vrindavan, in Vraj Lila, when Krishna is there. He's in Mathura. His relationship with Krishna, though, is such that he is the last devotee of his intimate devotees and Uddhava speaks of this, that how is it that Krishna thought of me as he departs from this Leela? And unfortunately, I haven't studied enough to get the answer to that. I'm sure the acharyas have commented, but one thought comes to my mind that Uddhava is that pure devotee whom we can aspire to follow, because his love of Krishna manifests mostly in separation. The gopis, they come together with Krishna and then they feel apart. So we see in the Leela of Krishna and the gopis, the Sambhoga and the Vipralamba, this coming together, going apart. But for Uddhava, most of the time, rarely did he have Krishna's direct association. And yet, Srila Prabhupada describes that he was experiencing both simultaneously. He was perceiving, this is such a wonderful statement here, double perception. Let's see. Okay, one eye, Krishna. One eye, no, Krishna. Krishna, no. This gives us a hint. I mean, if at least I've always, how is it that love, that there's ecstasy, there's this ecstatic, even greater ecstasy in separation than in meeting. Now, that's not been my experience in the material world. I have to say that when I come together with those that I love, I feel lots of happiness, and when they're not there, then I feel some sadness, some distress, some hankering. I don't exactly feel ecstatic. Not the same. It's not the same for me, at least. It's been difficult. How do I understand this? That there's this ecstasy, this ecstatic feeling of pain. Are we all wanting to become masochists? Is that the path of devotional service? The path of masochism? Just inviting pain, and then we find pleasure in pain? That's not that. That's the distorted. That's like we say that the material world is a perverted reflection. So the perversion of the ecstasy of Vipralamba might be in the so-called pleasure of the masochist. Such persons are there. I don't happen to be one, but I know that such persons are there. I read about such persons. who go to extraordinary lengths to invite pain, and somehow they feel material pleasure, actual sexual pleasure in this. And to us, that's like, this is really perverted. The lowest, what is highest for Krishna and the devotees is, in the material world, is the lowest. There's many examples. So it's hard. This statement starts to give us a little clue that it's both experiences somehow come together. Because we do have that experience when we think about our loved ones. We remember things that we've done together. We start to feel some of the happiness that we experienced in that meeting. We remember and we feel some pleasure in that, right? I think we've all experienced this. Anyway, I won't get into details of ways that we may have experienced this, but we've experienced something like this. Remembering our loves, remembering our pleasures. We feel some of that pleasure. Now here Prabhupada's saying that we can have that pleasure that's in separation and the pleasure that we have in the meeting, that because the remembrance, when it is of Krishna, it is Krishna. It is Krishna. He's there. When we're remembering Krishna, Krishna is present. When we're remembering and thinking of Krishna, Krishna is there. And to the extent that we have developed that love of Krishna, then that ecstasy of being with Krishna, and at the same time, where is Krishna, comes about. This is the wonderful path we're on, chalked out by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then delineated by the Goswamis. I didn't have time. I had conference calls and this and that this morning, and I didn't have enough time to really research this topic of Vipralamba. But one thing that stood out for me when I read Srila Prabhupada was talking about this. He was talking about how the Goswamis, they were in Vrindavan, and they were we never hear them saying, "Oh, I met Krishna. Oh, did you meet Krishna today? Where was Krishna?" No, it's always, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Always seeking for Krishna. That was, Srila Prabhupada was making that comment, that this was because they were absorbed in that mood. This mood of separation can even take place when the lover and the beloved are actually together. And we have examples of Radha and Krishna. Radha, that wonderful story where I think it is Madhu Mangal, right? And there's a bumblebee that is flying around, and Radha and Krishna are together. And Madhu Mangal takes it upon himself to take care of the bumblebee. And so he makes some, I don't know, he takes his hat, or I don't know what he does. Anyway, somehow the bumblebee goes, and he announces, "Madhu is gone!" And Radha, Krishna's right there, and Radha just hears, "Madhu. Madhu is gone," and thinks Madhusudan is gone, and she faints in ecstasy thinking, Krishna's gone. Krishna's right there. And this example is given to illustrate the intensity and the the height of love in separation. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desires this. He wants to experience the love of Sri Radha for him. And he wants to experience it in its highest state of vipralamba. And therefore he comes where? Where does he come to do this? Mayapur? No. Navadvip? No. Huh? Where does he come to experience this? To experience Gambhira. Where? Puri. What is Puri? Vipralamba Ketra. Vipralamba Ketra. Jagannath's place. And who is Jagannath? Jagannath has been revealed to us to be that expression of Krishna. You've all heard his story, I'm sure, about Krishna in Dwarka, and you've heard this story. So I don't have to tell the whole story because I don't have time. But the culmination of the story is, if you remember, and if you don't know it, just look up 3 Logs of Wood is Gaur Govinda Maharaj's narration of this story, which I believe is from Puranas, or I'm not sure where. It's there in our Shastras, in the Acharyas, or somewhere. Anyway, the long story short is that when Krishna has gone into a comatose state, he's just fainted. He's not around, and it's been diagnosed. This is separation. He's just thinking of Sri Radha, and that's the only cure. He has to go to Vrindavan. And then, but the thought is, they haven't seen Krishna. They'll be in such a state. If he goes there without any warning, what will he see? So Subhadra is supposed to, basically, Balaram is suggested, but Balaram said, if I go, then they won't trust me because I went before and said that Krishna is coming, and that he didn't come. And so finally, Subhadra goes at first, and Balaram goes. And when Jagannath comes and sees, when Krishna comes and sees the state of the gopis, his eyes become huge. His arms draw in. And he feels the pinnacle of separation. And that's Jagannath. And that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's aspiration, to feel that love, that ecstatic love that arises when the object, Krishna, is present but not present. Simultaneously, it's double perception, this double perception of being there and not being there. For us, it's simply, at least for me, I should say, that this is something I can hear about, I can read about, and I can dream about, perhaps, that one day I will have some experience of this. But I can understand, but Srila Prabhupada has given us the process by which we can achieve this. By constantly engaging ourselves in devotional service. Because that's the first place we can meet Krishna, in our service. Serving the holy name of Krishna by chanting and hearing. This is service. When we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we are serving Krishna. We're serving Krishna by bringing him into sound, like a carpenter carves the deity to bring Krishna, or a painter paints. So we chant to bring Krishna into sound, and then we hear to bring Krishna into our minds, into our hearts. Hrid Bhagvapu Bhir Vidadastamaste. With our hearts, with our words, Bhag, with our bodies, we offer our prayer, our mood of service to Krishna by hearing attentively, by hearing his names attentively. We're serving him. And when you go out into the public squares and you sing his names, you're serving him by giving others the chance, the opportunity to connect again with Krishna. So we serve Krishna, atak Shri Krishna namadi nabhaved grayam indrayi sevam mukhehi jivado swayam eva svuratyadaha. We can't atak Shri Krishna namadi nabhaved grayam indrayi. From our senses, we can't see Krishna just by looking for him. Sevon mukhe, but by seva. Beginning with our tongues, chanting, swayam eva svuratyaraha, he manifests. Svuratya, he manifests. So through service, constant service, Krishna will manifest. And we can hope, as our service becomes more and more pure, as our service becomes less and less motivated by some desire, whether it's just the desire to have fun with whatever we're doing, or to be honored, or to be, hey, you led a great kirtan. Yeah, yes, I did. Yeah. Whatever. We have so many desires for fame. What is it? Nadanam, najanam. Yeah, nasundurim, kavitam. The poet's glory. To be the glorious poet. Everyone's, oh, he's so poetic. Yeah. Jagadisha kamaye mama, janmani janmani, ishvare bhavatad bhakti ahaituki bhakti. No interruption. What Srila Prabhupada says here, constant engagement to Krishna. So, as long as one is engaged in the execution of the order of the Lord, there is no factual separation from him. I found it very interesting here how Uddhava saw that to follow, that he had received an order from Krishna to go to Badarikashram, and he sees that by following that order, he'll be with Krishna. He'll experience Krishna's presence. This is a message for all of us, that we can find Krishna, we can experience Krishna's presence by following the orders of Krishna that we've received through his himself directly in Bhagavad Gita and through his representatives. Srila Prabhupada is the stellar example. How the order that he received from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur became his ever-presence of Krishna. He relates how he was reading the commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on the Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmaka buddhir ekeha kuru nandana. And how Vishwanath was commenting how this Vyavasayatmaka buddhi, ekeha, that was when the devotee accepts the order of Guru as his life and soul. And he embraced that understanding fully. And as we see, he took the order of Bhaktisiddhanta to be his life, although he did not know how it would be done. He didn't understand. He arrived here in Brooklyn. He arrived not knowing, how is this going to happen? How is this possible? But he just, I've been ordered, I must do it. Because he felt, as we see he's describing here, that order meant his Guru, meant Krishna is present in that order. So we've all received orders. We've all received the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, the instructions of Krishna, to serve with everything that we have, and particularly Jare Deko Tahe Keo Krishna Upadesh. Amara Gyai Tara Edesh. That Agyai. How does it say? What does that song go? Yeah, Mahi Diksha. Yeah. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna, Siksha. Yeah. So, we have the order. We have orders, marching orders. And we have to go. We have to do it. We have to do it. And when we do it, we can be assured that is, Krishna is there in our service. We can associate. We can always be with Krishna through service. When I came to the first temple that I entered in Toronto, Canada, there were different things that impressed me. Somehow I had, through my reading of the Bible and a few other things, I had come to the conclusion that the goal of life is to serve God. I remember just a few days before going to the temple being, I think, in a bar. It gives you an indication where I was at. Oh, I wasn't drinking. I was doing other things. But anyway, and telling, having a conversation, say, the goal of life, serve God. That's all. But that's, okay, I had words like that, but I had no idea who God is, first of all, and secondly, how to serve. So the things that impressed me, of course, the first thing is the Mahamantra. The Mahamantra, when I received the Mahamantra, I went to a park and I chanted, and I felt something. Something happened. I was impressed. There's some power in this. Second thing that was impressive, not in any particular order, but I was given a book and I read some things, and I had this distinct feeling that the author, the person writing, knew what he was talking about. He wasn't just, academically writing something. He was writing from his realization. In other words, he knew God because he was writing about God. And the third thing that really impressed me was the devotees. They were serving. I had this idea about serving, but they were serving every minute of the day. They were doing service. They were always engaged in service. That was it. That's all they did, was service. Cleaning service, cooking service, eating service. Even the eating. That was really, they can eat, they can serve by eating? Wow. Everything was service. The music, because I was into, music. They were playing music as service. They were talking together as service. They were being friends with each other as service. And I even heard they were sleeping as service, although it was maybe not always. But if we sleep to recharge, we try to just minimize our sleep and just see it as what we need to do to keep the body energized in order to go on with service. Well, we were meeting with Malati in New Vrindavan, and she was relating the early days in, I guess it was San Francisco, when they would get up at around 7 o'clock in the morning. And of course they also stayed up a little late too, I'm pretty sure. But Srila Prabhupada would talk to them about, sleep, and that how, as you get older, you'll find that you need less sleep. And we were both commenting how not been quite our experience. And she was commenting about how what's the difference, because he was with Krishna. So sleep was, he actually, really actually only slept only what was needed physically for his body. And I think also, to me, because we sleep, at least I feel that, and I don't know the science of sleep or whatever, but that we sleep to rest our bodies, but we sleep to also rest the mind and the brain. And because Srila Prabhupada's mind and brain were just in the spiritual world, didn't have all the junk and stuff that we have to somehow process and dream and I don't know, whatever it is, to clear our heads and be able to function during the day. But still, we should look at it. The sleep that we do, it's a service to keep us, why? So that we can work, we can be active and serve Krishna. That's our aspiration. Because when we can serve Krishna with our minds, with our hearts, with our bodies, Krishna is there. And he will gradually reveal himself, spuratyadaha, as we serve. Remove the clouds. So, Hare Krishna. Let us follow in the footsteps of Uddhava and take our service to be our path. Hare Krishna. Any comments, questions? Anyone like to share? Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much for your class, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your wonderful class. I really like the point. I like a lot of points made, but this in particular is one where you were talking about, okay, it's only through engaging in service you can be in separation or come closer to Krishna. And then you added the point of interrupted, unmotivated service. And it reminds me of how Uddhava, when he went to the spiritual world, to bring the message, and he was watching the gopis. And it was not simply the thing by seeing the gopis engaged, which shocked and embarrassed him, but it was their spontaneous love. Everything was so unmotivated, uninterrupted, unallied, and this point of doing service, constantly engaging, but in a spontaneous way, not aiming for something in return. And that's a point I personally like very much.
Yes.
So engaging in service, fully, attentively, but also trying to develop a mode of not in return, the mode of the spontaneous love of the gopi, which even surprised Uddhava, who is actually pure devotee. So you can see how far we are from that point.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. The point of double perception kind of blew my mind, but it made me also think. I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned that if you engage in the service of like Krishna throughout your life, then you'll attain Goloka, you worship Gauranga, you'll attain Gauranga. But if you worship them both, then you'll attain a simultaneous both of them. And so I guess it also reminds me of in the second chapter, Krishna just says the soul is amazing.
Yes, soul is amazing. Yeah. Yeah, no, we have so much to look forward to. We've been stuck. Anadi karma vale. But when we're hearing now about Krishna's world and our world, our real world, and it's inconceivable even. But it's there and we will experience it, and we will gradually more and more experience it. And some things we can't put into words. I love this particularly double perception, that it tries to bring it, but it's still okay. I'm hearing it, but do I experience it? And we can start looking, perhaps, for times where we're kind of having that experience of separation and meeting, being together. Let's see. Yes, Prabhu.
Could you please explain what is double perception?
Meaning at the same time, you're seeing two things at the same time. You're feeling and experiencing two things at the same time. I mean, we have experiencing. I mean, what was it the other day? We were having some chutney, and we were remembering Prabhupada's statement: too hot to handle, but too sweet to resist. So it's like that. You perceive there's this heat, but it's so sweet. But you want more, but it's too. So we have some, feelings like that. And as I said, the perverted reflection is in the masochist who feels sexual pleasure from pain. So that's a, and I don't suggest that you try it out or whatever and then to see. No. Hopefully that's not something that you're into, but still you can kind of get an idea that yes, it's possible. And I'm sure in our own lives there are times when we've and I've tried to relate that where when we remember, when we have thoughts of some experience, some loving experience, that we feel some pleasure in the remembrance. Now that's just, that's sort of a reflection of what's going on, what goes on when you have this double perception. That's a sort of, clouded, just a little faint perception. But in the devotee who's achieved this state of love, they're having a full perception, full experience of Krishna's presence and, same time, Krishna's absence simultaneously. That's what Uddhava saw when he visited the gopis. He saw this. He was amazed how they're simultaneously filled with love and filled with anguish. Anyway, there's some. I'm sure there are many, many more deep aspects to this that we'll discover as we progress to hear more and more about Krishna and his Leela. Yeah.
I like the point where you were mentioning about service which is unmotivated and it is uninterrupted. But I see in my experience that, and many other devotees also share, what happens is because our senses as of now, which are contaminated, they are sitting places of lust. So because they are sitting places of lust, sometimes we want to do some service for pleasure of Krishna, but gradually when we enter that service, we turn back and see that actually I have to be doing it for my own sense gratification. For example, we can take singing. So we want to sing for Krishna's pleasure. That's the initial motivation. But because our senses are not purified, when we sing, we are thinking, after I sing, who is coming in, are going to appreciate me, or how did I sing this? So actually, our service became contaminated. Or even when we go for distributing books, we go to distribute books, and we want to distribute books to expand Prabhupada's movement, we want to serve Srila Prabhupada. But in that action, while trying to pursue book distribution, we may want to go and talk to opposite sex, and so that because in the name of book distribution, what happens is we have a nice chit chat, and whether books go or not, then that becomes secondary. So what happens is, though the initial motivation is service, and we want to do it unmotivated and without any interruption, but gradually when we enter that service, what takes up is our lust, anger and greed.
Anarta. Our anartas.
So how do we rise beyond so that we can actually...
That is sadhana bhakti. We practice. And the good thing is that you're recognizing these things. The first step is to see it, that, okay, I have these anartas. That's the first stage. We recognize our anartas. And then pray for them to be cleared and to keep on serving, because Krishna is the purifier. Krishna will purify us. But it takes time. It takes time. So we don't stop serving. We don't stop singing. We don't stop distributing books. Maybe we, if we're getting too entangled in the pretty ladies when we go out for book distribution, maybe we'll choose more men to distribute books to, I don't know. But, we practice stopping the mind by recognizing, oh, this is my mind, these are my material desires coming up. Let me say no. And this practice gradually. They will go, but we have to be patient. maybe lifetimes of patience. But don't stop. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Great Pancharatna Prabhu ki.
Hare Krishna.